There's a certain type of person who feels uncomfortable the moment attention turns toward them. Not nervous, not shy, just uncomfortable. Someone compliments them, and they immediately change the subject. People start noticing their talent, and suddenly they disappear. A room full of attention feels less like validation, and more like danger. And most people misunderstand this completely. They assume these people lack confidence. They call them cold, quiet, or hard to read. But the truth is more complicated, because for some people, being noticed never felt emotionally safe. And once your brain learns that, it never fully forgets. Sign 1. Your silence feels normal to you, but uncomfortable to everyone else. Most people rush to fill silence the second it appears. Research published in Psychological Science found that even a few seconds of unexpected silence triggers a measurable anxiety response, and people instinctively say something they didn't plan to say, just to break it. But you don't have that reflex. You can sit quietly while your brain observes, thinks, processes. And to other people, that stillness feels intense, like you're analyzing them, even when you're not. This habit usually starts early. At some point, your brain learned that reacting too quickly could backfire, so your mind adapted. Observe first. React later. And after enough years, that pattern becomes automatic. Sign 2. You rarely engage in drama, and strangely enough, that makes people uncomfortable. Most social environments run on emotional reactions. Visible excitement, visible anger, visible frustration. It makes people feel like they understand you. But when someone stays calm instead of reacting, people mistake it for distance. Emotionally controlled people are harder to predict, and humans naturally trust what feels predictable. That's why attention-avoiding people often get called intimidating without trying to be. Clinical psychologist Carla Marie Manley found that the people we find most intimidating are usually the ones who expose our own insecurities, and someone who can't be rattled or read does exactly that, without saying a single word. Sign 3. You naturally go deeper than surface-level conversation. Most small talk isn't about connection, it's about comfort. But your brain pushes deeper automatically. You ask questions people weren't expecting. You notice shifts in tone, hesitation, hidden emotions. Dr. Jennifer Kahnweiler calls this one of the most underestimated social skills, the ability to read a room without needing to dominate it. But even when your intention is genuine curiosity, people feel exposed around you. Being deeply understood can feel uncomfortable to people who spend most of their lives behind surface-level interactions. And this creates something strange. You become very good at understanding people, while feeling misunderstood yourself. Sign 4. You sabotage yourself right before visibility. Someone talented suddenly stops posting. Someone intelligent stays silent. Someone creative never shares their work. From the outside, it makes no sense. But psychologically, success creates exposure. And exposure creates vulnerability. The moment people notice you, your brain starts imagining everything that could go wrong. What if they judge you, misunderstand you, expect more from you now? That's why many people who avoid attention don't actually fear visibility itself. They fear the emotional pressure that comes with being seen. And the strange part is, they secretly want recognition, not arrogant attention, just understanding, connection, being seen without being judged. Sign 5. You keep your emotions controlled, and people read that as not caring. You feel things, possibly more than most, but you've learned that letting emotions take over usually makes everything worse. So you stay calm. Psychotherapists who study introvert-extrovert conflict found a consistent pattern. The introvert stays logical. The extrovert reads that calm as they don't care. And the conversation falls apart, not because of the original issue, but because one person needed emotional mirroring and didn't get it. Your self-control looks like coldness. Your composure looks like contempt. You're not cold. You're just not performing distress to make someone else feel less alone in theirs. Sign 6. You learned how to survive without needing much from people. Many emotionally independent people became that way after learning that relying too heavily on others led to disappointment. So they adapted, more private, more self-contained. They stopped seeking attention, not because they felt superior, but because needing people too much once hurt them deeply. And after enough time, independence stopped feeling like a choice. It became emotional protection. Sign 7. You don't need their approval, and nothing is more destabilizing than that most social dynamics run on an invisible exchange. You validate me. I validate you. Approval becomes power. You don't play that game. You don't need the room to like you to feel okay being in it. And to someone whose self-worth depends on external validation, that is unsettling. The usual tools of social pressure don't work on you. You can't be guilted. You can't be rattled. And in a world where almost everyone can be, the person who can't is the most quietly powerful person in the room. But here's the hidden danger. The longer someone hides from attention, the more invisible they become to themselves too. Avoiding attention slowly turns into avoiding self-expression. You stop sharing ideas. Stop showing excitement. You become emotionally edited, not fake, just reduced. Human beings slowly become the version of themselves they repeatedly practice. If you constantly practice hiding, eventually hiding becomes your identity. And maybe that's why some people feel strangely empty later in life. Not because they failed, but because they spent years protecting themselves from judgment so carefully that they accidentally protected themselves from connection too. So maybe the real question isn't, why do I avoid attention? Maybe the real question is, has invisibility actually brought you peace, or has fear simply become familiar? Which sign felt the most personal? Drop the number in the comments. And if someone in your life has never understood why people find them hard to read, send this to them. Sometimes just hearing it explained changes everything.